Hi there, David here. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today, quick announcement, I'm in my bedroom. First time shooting videos here, so hopefully everything goes according to plan. Um, just a quick FYI, some things might look a little different. So in today's video, I'm going to be presenting a blueprint. It's a blueprint for fast healing of any of these autoimmune conditions. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, watch it through the whole entire video. I think it's going to be very useful. So let's go to the intro and see you guys in a few seconds. Alright, welcome back. So as I mentioned during the intro, right before the intro, this video, the purpose is to answer all those questions that I've received in the comments as far as diet that I've taken before, during the cabbage protocol, or after, meaning during the flare-ups. So hopefully you find this useful. Just for you to know, this is going to be in a sort of PowerPoint presentation available in the video. Actually, one quick announcement before I jump into the video. The multivitamins, multiminerals, and probiotics should be taken during the entire period. Specifically, if you don't want to take it at the very beginning, which I still recommend, make sure you start no later than the second week of the protocol. So this whole program, the cabbages protocol was 1 week, but this whole program in the shortest period of time would be 4 weeks. The longest period of time would be 8 weeks. Obviously, this is a guideline. If you think you might need a bit more time, that's perfectly fine. I'm not your doctor, so I don't know all your symptoms. But 4 to 8 weeks is the approximate time that you can take to complete this program from A through Z, meaning from before, during, and after the cabbages protocol, the 1 week protocol, to ensure that you can be successful and fast, because 4 weeks to me is fast. It took me 17 years before I could get into a successful program, so I think 4 weeks is not too much. 8 weeks still reasonable if you need to take that extra time. So the stage number 1, it's going to be during your diagnosis. So let's say you just got diagnosed today, recently, or you just got into a huge flare-up, even if you had it for a long time. So initial diagnosis or full flare-up, this is in the worst possible time, what to do in that time. So here you can expect to have heavy diarrhea, internal bleeding, dehydration, malnutrition, depending on how long you've been here or having these symptoms. But anytime you go 2 or 3 weeks and more with these symptoms, it's definitely not an infection. Infections don't take that long usually to heal. So you very likely either been diagnosed already or are having a really bad flare. Okay, the diet, the type of food you should be having here is a full 100% liquid, what I call it elemental diet, which I mentioned in other videos. So it has to be 100% liquid for the 1 or 3 weeks, 1 week being the minimum, 3 weeks being the maximum. And the liquid diets that you can have are going to be obviously plenty of broths, chicken broth, beef, marrow-bone broth, etc. And if you guys remember, I presented in another video the elemental diet shakes, right? I highly recommend the Absorb Plus powder, which is a pre-digested powder, 100% organic, I would say even medical grade. So it's going to prevent you having allergies and things that you might not be taking care of if you have just like a low quality powder added. So full liquid, the shakes are highly recommended. Mix it with fruit, banana, pear, anything, papaya. Those are good to mix with the powder, with the Absorb Plus powder. And obviously the goal here on this first stage, the first 4 to 8 weeks, is to stop your dehydration, stop internal bleeding, inflammation, anemia if you have that going on because of the bleeding that you've been having, and any nutrition deficiency. So that's the goal. Again, the duration should be 1 to 3 weeks. And medication, obviously that's controlled by your doctor, but you likely are going to be taking steroids at this point when the full flare-up is going on. Prednisone is one that is used a lot. You may have also immune suppressors like Imuran, azathioprine, and also anti-inflammatory like mesalamine, Acecol, it gets different names. And if possible, try to initiate yourself with small doses of the cabbage juice, even if you can mix it or you have to mix it with apple or carrot, cucumber, any other vegetables or fruits to make it more palatable, to make it easier to your taste. Going to stage number 2. Here you expect, or hopefully it'll happen this way, you expect to have either partial or full remission or control over those symptoms that you were having on stage 1, meaning the internal bleeding, the diarrhea, dehydration, and so forth. So I hope you have either partial or full control over that. The diet that you expect to have here is going to be semi-elemental, right? Meaning, if possible, you feel like you can start taking some solid foods. I would like to recommend, or you should aim for at least 25% solid foods if your body allows you to do that. Okay, so again, the elemental diet it's recommended, but it will be semi-elemental because at this point, again, the goal is to have some solid foods taken, not 100% liquid anymore. If you can do more than 25% solid, that's great. And the type of meals or the type of foods that you should be looking for would be easy to digest protein. If you are okay, if you're not vegan or vegetarian, and obviously that you don't have allergies to these type of foods, those would be salmon, sardines, and eggs. Those are excellent sources of protein, and they're very easy to digest unless you have allergies to any of these. On the other hand, if you are vegan, options would be boiled pinto beans, lentils, lima beans, split green peas, etc. So all from plant-based sources. The important thing here is that you need to make sure they're very well cooked, especially the peas, the split green split peas are very they take a lot of time to fully cooked, so make sure if you are going with the vegan option, make sure they're fully cooked. Okay, here the goal is to improve obviously the symptoms that you had from stage 1, meaning if you're not fully controlled, bleeding, diarrhea, dehydration, and so forth, you should have at least some improvement, right? That's why the stage 1 was 1 to 3 weeks, and we expect that you are going to be improving at this stage. The medication is going to be similar to what we saw on stage 1. Again, I'm just mentioning these, I'm not your doctor, but this is typically what doctors' course of treatment medication-wise looks like. So hopefully at least you are off the steroids, the prednisone, because that is not meant to be a long-term treatment, and you are hopefully just on the immunosuppressor like the Imuran or azathioprine, whatever generic or brand name you're taking for the immune system suppressor or regulator. And also hopefully you are only in the mesalamine, Acecol for the anti-inflammatory. Again, either the full dose of that, or if you are able to lower the doses on those, great, but don't rush that. That's something you have to discuss with your doctor. And again, this one I think it's recommended to do 1 or 2 weeks for an ideal treatment, and moving on from that kind of interval or intermediate rather stage, that you're not full-blown sick, and you're able to eat something solid and somehow you're under control for all the symptoms. So 1 to 2 weeks on this second stage. And the third and last stage, not for that reason less important, is when you are expected to be at least 75% under control of all the symptoms that you started off with, the first stage, meaning that hopefully you don't have bleeding, you might have some dehydration, diarrhea, hopefully you have it under control, or at least somehow under control. So 75% under control is what I expect that you would be at this point, at stage number 3. And the diet, obviously you should be now moving to a more solid diet. At this point I still recommend that you eat at least 1 shake a day, right? So you'll be more towards the 50% or 75% solid food at this point, but I still recommend that you take at least 1 shake of the elemental diet, meaning the Absorb Plus with fruit, and add a raw egg if you can tolerate. Some people would just hate it to add a raw egg into the shake, but it is a good source of protein. If you can take it, I highly recommend it. Hopefully don't take it if it just makes you, puke or vomit, or which is not for you. Now at this point, since you are hopefully able to eat some of the solid food from the previous stage, you can start adding other sources of food or meats like chicken, duck, and fish like mahi-mahi, right? Which are not as high in fatty omega-3 like the salmon or sardines, but if you can tolerate and you can start introducing these meats, that will be good to get some variety, so you don't just get tired of eating the same every day. And also you can keep adding, you don't necessarily have to take the broth anymore at this point. You can now start doing soups like chicken or fish soups, even beef soups with vegetables, right? Because you get easy to digest food, but very nutritious because of the meat and the vegetables combined. And the last things you might be able to start taking would be cereals. I would say gluten-free cereals, because it's very common that people with autoimmune conditions are intolerant to gluten. So I would recommend you want to start taking pasta cereals in small amounts. Make sure they're gluten-free, at least at the beginning, during the protocol. And beef and red meat in general should be the last type of meat that you should be introducing to the protocol. Those are a bit harder to digest, and you should keep the spices to the minimum. Just salt and pepper, I think, should be enough for now, okay, during the protocol. And again, here the goal is to be hopefully 100% symptom-free, be it the 4 weeks if you're taking the short path, or be it the 8 weeks to complete the whole protocol. The goal here is to be 100% symptom-free. And again, discussing with your doctor, you can hopefully have lowered the medication. It's a trial and error. There's no perfect path to get rid of the medications. So one last thing is, during the whole treatment, during these 4 to 8 weeks, it's very important that you try to be relaxed, that you try to get enough rest, enough sleep. I would recommend at least 6.5 hours. If you can take more, that's great, but at least 6.5 hours average per night. And that will be it. Again, the medication discussed with your doctors. This last stage by itself is 2 to 3 weeks. And if you now add up the 2 previous stages, it would be a total of 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how fast and how your body is reacting to all these changes. So to recap or to close, appreciate the support. If you made it this far in the video, please subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Comment whatever questions you may have, and everything is appreciated. I appreciate the support, and see you guys in the next video.